Do you feel like you're never going to be enough for your friends or your family? Or do you struggle with negative thoughts all day long? I used to think that ignoring those thoughts was the best way to fight them, but it never actually addressed the root cause. In this video, I'm going to show you how the way you think affects the way you feel. First, I'm going to help you identify the thought patterns that are causing so much hurt in your life. Then I'm going to give you a really easy technique you can use to start making a difference right away. So why do we beat ourselves up? Well, it's coming from shame or guilt. And both of those are good things to have in our life, but oftentimes we find them out of context and in unhelpful places that tear us apart. Guilt is when you cross a moral line or a value. And it sounds like a should statement. I should do this. I should have done that. These large categorical statements as if life is that easy and you're that simple. Shame is when you're afraid of rejection. And so it comes into play as, if only I was more like this, or if they found out this about me, they wouldn't like me anymore. That's shame thinking. And both of those directions bring a lot of negative thoughts to who we are and inhibit our ability to be free. And it's about rejecting our current reality because we're not yet some future ideal that we really think we need to be. But usually that future ideal version of yourself is a set of standards other people have given us to take, not actually who we care about or who we want to be. The trick, though, is you can't just think less of those. You can't think less negative thoughts because of the pink elephant paradox. The pink elephant paradox is if I say, don't think of a pink elephant, you will always think of it. In fact, you did probably as you're watching this video. You can't help it, it's how your brain is designed. So if I say, don't think these negative thoughts, don't think these things about yourself, you tend to think them more and you tend to go down them and it becomes easier and worse. And so you create this bad cycle for yourself. When I was growing up, I was the loud one. In all my social circles, I was usually the loudest, most gregarious, and frankly, I was worried I was annoying everybody. And so I would go home at the end of the day and think, if only I was less loud, if only I was less annoying, I shouldn't be so joking. I shouldn't make so many jokes all the time. People would like me more and I'd feel more confident about myself. I would be one of the best friends, not just invited to the social circle. I'd be at the center of it. But not thinking these things, and that's what I tried. I said, don't think that. Don't think that way. That's not true. It only made it worse. And I spiraled and my behavior got worse because I didn't know what to do and I found myself spiraling down. But what can we do to actually make a difference? There's a really easy way you can reframe some things in your life to start moving the needle immediately on these negative thoughts. It's called cognitive diffusion, and we're borrowing this from acceptance commitment therapy. And this is about putting space between yourself and the experience you're having with the literal words you're using in your mind or you're writing or you're saying. What we tend to say is, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm upset, I have this shameful thing about myself, I am this thing. And it's identifying as if you are anger, you are sadness, you are XYZ mistake. Instead, we want to put some actual words between who we are, the I'm, with the experience we're having. So for example, instead of saying, I'm stressed at work, say, I'm experiencing feelings of stress at work. If you mess something up with your family, instead of saying, I'm a disappointment, say, I'm experiencing feelings of disappointment about this thing with my family. If you feel fat and lazy, instead of saying, I'm fat and lazy, say, I'm experiencing shame about my body right now. And it sounds stilted. Yes, you would probably never say it that clinically in passing conversation. But force yourself to do it in your internal conversation, or better yet, journal this down. Write these things down as you experience them. Practice catching your thoughts and forcing those words between the experience and who you are. And this act of cognitive diffusion will take a lot of the teeth out of what you're feeling and let you retain who you are. Yourself, what God gave you, retain that identity regardless of how you're feeling or what you're thinking. Then you can move forward with much more clarity. And in my example of being loud and annoying, at least I felt that way with my friends, that's exactly what I did. I caught the thought. Instead of saying, I'm annoying, I'm loud, I'm too much, I said, I'm experiencing nervousness that I was annoying today. And that right there removed the teeth. That allowed me to think things like maybe they're also thinking similar things about themselves. Maybe I wasn't that way. I'm having the feeling maybe I wasn't this. And to start breaking these things down so I could feel better about who I was and actually move forward with my life and having more fun and more freedom with the people around me and my family and my friends. These negative thought patterns and cycles cause a lot of wounding and a lot of damage and a lot of stress. But sometimes we have so many stresses outside of us in our responsibilities and in our work and families that we don't have the clarity to approach these deeper interior things. Watch our video about how to redefine the way you approach your to-do list, your tasks, your responsibilities, your work, your family life, in a way that actually gives you traction and some peace. And once you have that, you'll have the freedom you need to start working on these deeper interior things, such as the way you're thinking about yourself. Like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.